wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. What up, though? What up, Detroit? How y'all feeling this morning?
Hey.
Y'all home already, right?
Hey.
All right. The Knicks beat Pistons last night, 116-113. They close out that series. They are playing Boston in the next round, so we'll see how that goes.
Salute to the New
Detroit
York
will call
Knicks.
up and get in your ass. And
Nah,
be
they
mad
was. I was letting them go. I
Envy
was
would love to have
quiet.
that D in his ass. Come on now, don't threaten him with a good time, Jess.
You
He'd
can't
love to have
say
a D in his
that,
ass.
yo.
Listen, salute to Jalen Brunson, looking like a young Kobe Bryant in his prime last night. The way he closed out.
Wow, he closed out amazingly. So
Nah, he
salute
did.
to the Knicks.
And he
the-
dropped 40.
Yeah, he dropped 40 last night. The Clippers beat the Nuggets last night, 111-105. They tied that series 3-3. And tonight, if you're a boxing fan, there's a lot of boxing going on. Charlamagne, you're a
Yes.
huge boxing fan. You watch boxing? You
I
too, Jess?
definitely am.
Yeah, I watch it.
My daughter has a play tonight, but after that, I will be watching Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero.
Devin Haney is fighting Jose Ramirez.
Yep, Teofimo Lopez fights tonight as well. He fights Arnold Barboza.
That's
And
right.
And Canelo fights tomorrow too, right? Yeah, Canelo fights tomorrow too.
It's a lot of Mexicans fighting, huh?
That's a Cinco
Cinco de
it is
Mayo. It's Cinco de Mayo
weekend.
weekend.
Period.
Yeah, that's
Y'all
how it
better
always
say
is.
that.
Cinco de Mayo weekend.
You better have something planned special for Chris.
For Cinco de Mayo?
This day Christmas.
It's their Christmas, not
It's
their
their
damn
4th of July.
Christmas.
Done.
My
Done.
goodness. All right. Well, good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, y'all. Happy Friday.
girl.
Let's get into it. So the phrase of the day is due process. So President Trump is questioning whether undocumented immigrants deserve due process while delivering a commencement speech at the University of Alabama yesterday. Trump criticized judges who have blocked his administration's efforts to deport alleged illegal immigrants. Let's take a listen to his comments.
They have to let us do the job that the voters want us to do. Judges are interfering supposedly based on due process, but how can you give due process to people who came into our country illegally? They want to give them due process. I don't know.
So Trump went on.
That's a question. Governor Westmore is coming here, and that is a question that I asked him. I asked him the same thing. Do undocumented immigrants have the same constitutional rights as people who are here legally?
So I was going to say, well, what did he say? Trump
You find out
Trump
in a couple hours.
Yeah, a couple hours.
Trump went on to congratulate the university's women's track team and track and field for their 2 conference title wins this year. He also used the opportunity to highlight his administration's efforts to ban transgender women from women's sports and tout what he believes is a better economy under his administration. He also shouted out the school's legendary former football coach, Nick Saban, saying the University of Alabama has a brand and that brand is winning. In other news, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is leaving his position as National Security Advisor. That's according to multiple reports, and this comes after Waltz faced scrutiny for mistakenly adding Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg to a Signal chat that discussed plans for a military strike. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance spoke to Fox News about the matter, saying that Waltz is not being fired from his role as a National Security Advisor, but instead he's being promoted. I won't toss the audio because I see we're short on time, but he basically says that Vance says that Trump decided that Waltz is better served in another role, which is the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. So Waltz, of course, faced scrutiny, like I said, for mistakenly adding that reporter to the Signal chat that discussed plans for a military strike. And Trump said in the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as National Security Advisor while continuing to be a strong leader in the State Department as Secretary of State. Now, Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York was the UN nominee until the White House withdrew it, citing a slim House GOP majority. They want to maintain their stake in the House and in the Senate, and or their seats per se, and so they kept her in that seat and withdrew her nomination. So.
When is Trump gonna make that same decision about Pete Hegseth? The same decision he just made about Mike Waltz. Since you're not firing people, but you're promoting
moving them around.
moving them around other positions. Yes.
Yeah, well, he has expressed, the president has expressed that he has the utmost confidence in Pete Hegseth and his ability to lead the Department of Defense. So I'm not sure when that'll happen, but I'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, thank you, Morgan. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. What up, Doe? What up, Detroit? Yes, the Knicks beat Detroit last night, 116-113. Detroit is home early on vacation. Now, the Clippers beating the Nuggets 111-105. They tied the series 3-3. All right, so, again, congratulations to Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks. Cat, what's up? Hart, what's up? the whole New York Knicks fan. Y'all played a hell of a game last night, man. The way y'all came back, Jesus. So I was happy. Did you see the game last night?
No, I did not. But when I go to Detroit, they going to tell me some stuff to come back and tell you because you on here going
No, they
crazy
was tearing
on
me
Detroit,
up all week, and I just had to be quiet because you never know with the Knicks sometimes.
Right.
So I was waiting for the Knicks to win. And last night when we blew the 12-point lead, I said, "Ooh, Detroit's gonna be in my ass."
So the D was tearing you up. The D was in your ass. Huh? That's what
Detroit
you
was
said?
tearing me up.
Yeah, the D was tearing you up. The D was in your ass. You heard him. He
Oh,
said
my goodness.
this weekend it was going down.
Grow up. What's up, Morgan? God.
Oh my gosh. Hey, y'all. Hey, so let's continue talking due process as that is the theme for Front Page News today. So the White House will not confirm reports it has asked El Salvador about the status of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has reportedly been in touch with El Salvador about Garcia, but during a recent cabinet meeting, Rubio told reporters he will not comment on it. Let's take a listen to his comments.
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to, but I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it because that's how foreign policy works.
So, guys, of course, in case you missed it or you've been under a rock, Garcia was deported to El Salvador mistakenly in what the White House said was an administrative error, but has since said that he's a member of the MS-13 gang. I'm not sure if you guys saw that photo that Trump was holding with his tattoos that seemingly was photoshopped to say MS-13 across his knuckles. Now, next week, the administration is facing a court-ordered deadline to provide an update on steps that they've taken to return Garcia here back to the United States.
They need to stop focusing on him as an individual. And what they need to start focusing on is the fact that the Constitution is not being respected. They need to be focusing on the fact that everybody is allowed due process. Stop making it about the individual. Make it about the actual issue, because that issue can happen to anybody.
Right, and I think that's why they were trying to, nail down what's happening with the individual so that we can make it a blanket, or that it can become
but when you make it about the individual,
solution.
But when you make it about the individual, then people can say, well, he's MS-13, or he was here illegally, and then it makes people dismiss the whole situation. The actual problem is the fact that this man is not being allowed due process under the Constitution.
That's right. This comes as a federal judge is blocking the deportations of Venezuelans in South Texas under the Alien Enemies Act. Now, Judge Fernando Rodriguez, who was appointed during Trump's first administration, writes that members of the violent Venezuelan street gang Tren de Agua are not invading the country, and the administration's recent swift deportations, he ruled, violate due process rights. Now, the ruling came as part of a lawsuit brought by 3 Venezuelan men who claim they're not members of the gang. And speaking of due process, as I said, the theme continues. The good sis Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas showed her support for an amendment that aims to protect U.S. citizens. We're not even talking about immigrants at this point. We're talking about protecting U.S. citizens' rights to due process during a recent House Judiciary Committee hearing. Now, let's take a listen to her comments regarding the proposed amendment as it relates to protecting U.S. citizens' rights to due process.
And the reason that we're having to do amendments like this one and the other one and talk about things such as due process and the Constitution is because we could actually avoid maybe detaining or sending away U.S. citizens if we just gave them their due process rights. Because I'm tired of hearing, oh, they made a mistake. Well, guess what? That mistake may cost somebody their job. That mistake may cost somebody their home. That mistake may cost somebody actually being able to still have their child.
So Congresswoman Crockett also recently posted on social media that Republicans in Congress voted in favor of legally giving President Trump the ability to deport U.S. citizens. So there is a real possibility that something like this could be coming down the pipeline as the Republicans, have the House, they have the Senate, and the administration has admitted to making mistakes, and they've also stood on 10 saying that they're, you see how they're going about so-called correcting that mistake, despite the Supreme Court ruling that the administration must facilitate the return of that one particular individual, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So Do we got time for one more, y'all? I think this is a big one for a lot of people. It's going to impact a lot of people.
Sure.
Education. All right, let's get into it. So the Department of Education will resume collecting defaulted student loan debt this coming Monday. That is Cinco de Mayo. That is May 5th. The department announced collections will begin on May 5th, and borrowers could be referred to debt collectors or have money deducted from their paychecks. Student loan repayment requirements were paused in March of 2020 due to COVID-19 and that pandemic. Now, the Biden administration opted not to resume those collections and attempted to forgive student loan debt in a program that was ultimately struck down by the Supreme Court. But the Trump administration has indicated it would offer no such concessions to borrowers. And the reason why I say this is because you never know if something like this, Department of Education and student loans, or whether or not you owe on student loans, could be impacted in the way where, you might need your due process. So I'm not going to get too much into that, but, it's just something to note, something to think about. And if I could give Donkey of the Day, as you're allowing people to do so, Charlamagne the God, I would do that to student loans. I would give the student loans the Donkey of the Day. Hee haw.
That's right.
You, Morgan.
Well, Charlamagne is opening up the phone lines too. So if you want to give somebody Donkey today, 800-585-1051. What are you saying, Charlamagne?
Yeah, call us right now. That's a damn shame, though, man. The economy is already in shambles. Tariffs got consumer goods. Prices high. They talking about a recession this summer. And, the student, they collecting on student loan debts on Monday. They really trying to break people, yo.
Yeah.
Like, they really driving people to the brink, man.
Well, the best I think we could do right now is cheers to the freaking weekend. And that's your front page news.
If you can afford to drink.
Right.
If you can afford to buy a drink.
Right.
Oh, for real. But follow me on socials at Morgan Media. That's your front page news. For more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Y'all have a good one. Happy weekend.
Indeed.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.